I think we have our problem corrected, and Mr. Doc Severenson is with us now.
Oh, I thought the interview was over.
How you doing, Doctor?
Doing fine, thank you.
Great, great. And you're on the air live with us this morning on WIST. And how you feeling after last night?
I feel fine.
That's good. It was a terrific night. And I tell you, we have some burning questions for you. Some burning questions.
Get on me.
There you go.
Well, we sure will. You know, it really struck me last night watching you perform with the Charlotte Symphony. You've been on tour for a number of weeks now, and you're coming into one town after another. You have very little time, really, to practice with the orchestras, and yet you look like you'd been playing with that group for years. How do you do that?
Well, a group like this here in Charlotte is easy because they're very good, and so you don't have to worry about them negotiating the arrangement.
Is that right? It's just pretty much easy flow as you walk in then?
Yes, well, you have an excellent conductor, David Mars, and a fine orchestra, and we had a little rehearsal time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no big problem. The important thing is to go out and find a good restaurant.
Spoken like a true traveler.
Now, are you going to tell us what you found?
I can.
Okay, go right ahead.
Well, it was Simmons Restaurant. They serve, I guess some people call it soul food. I call it home cooking.
Is that right?
That's what my mother used to cook. And
understand you like collard greens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's not. Is it early enough for collard greens or what?
Yeah. No, this is a good time of the year for collard greens.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I hope you enjoyed them here in Charlotte.
I had a whole knocked-out meal before I went over there to play yesterday, and I'm going to do it again today just to make sure.
That's what I heard. It takes really the food, the energy to get you going there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you definitely had a lot of energy last night. We certainly enjoyed the whole performance. We were watching you conduct, of course, and also listening to you play the trumpet. Which do you enjoy doing the most, or can you narrow it down?
I'm a trumpet player.
You're the trumpet player.
Yeah, and the conducting is something that came after, and I enjoy it immensely. But it's another whole thing.
You wouldn't know that, you like the trumpet more because when you were conducting last night, you looked like you've been doing it for 30 years.
And throwing your heart and soul into it, too.
I've been doing it quite a while. But, music to me is not something I do for a living. It's a way of life, and it's what makes me tick. And whether I'm conducting or playing, it's like I'm breathing.
Mm-hmm. We could tell last night. I mean, that was obvious. You were right into it. Every beat, every note.
Audience like last night, too, to have the proper kind of fun.
Sure.
Well, we noticed that last night. It was obvious that you were having a good time up there. Can you describe that special kind of feeling, that special high that comes from performing for a live audience?
Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, I can't really put it in words, but the main thing is if it happens, it's better for the audience, the performer, and everybody. And, you can prepare yourself and get in a state of mind and convince yourself that everything is wonderful, but it takes going out there and having the audience really come alive for you to make things happen.
Well, they were certainly doing it last night, and you could feel that bond going across the footlights there.
They were right in it.
What was that, 2 or 3 encores you did?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we were loving every minute of it.
We did not leave until you left.
Well, I'm glad you stayed around.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to ask you, you're known for your colorful wardrobes, and you certainly didn't disappoint the audience last night. You looked really terrific. Would you be able to describe the outfit you wore in the second half?
Well,
I don't think I could do it justice.
It started out as a Versace outfit. Johnny Versace, Italian designer. It's one of his things.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of his silk shirts and a vest.
Uh-huh.
And the motif of the design and pattern was resort. And it had palm trees and pictures of Miami, and it actually had Miami printed on there.
Well, we used to live not too far from Miami, so that brought back a lot of memories for us.
Yeah, well, and it's extremely colorful.
Yes, it was.
And I didn't have what I thought was a proper pair of trousers to go with it, so I had a pair of lime green.
Came right up there, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you look terrific, and I know everybody enjoed that
That's the only
as much
kind
as the music.
that I own. That's why when I get to a town, I can't go out during the day. Around in the room waiting for time to put on the funny clothes.
You know, we noticed you did a little, kind of like Herb Alpert used to do last night. You sang a little bit. Have you done much singing? You sounded really good.
Herb Alpert is not my inspiration.
Well, I have to say you sounded better than Herb.
Well, you know, that particular song you're referring to is I Can't Get Started, which Bonnie Berrigan popularized many years ago, and he was a trumpet player who sang a little bit. That trumpet players used to do that, and guys in front of orchestras and bands, they used to do that, and I just felt that to perform that song, I needed to put in a few bars of vocal along with it. But then, you never know when I'm going to burst into song.
It was great. It was unexpected. I didn't think that you would do it. As a matter of fact, I had never seen you sing on The Tonight Show in all the years you were on.
We had pretty good singers as guests, you know, like Ella Fitzgerald and Tony Bennett, and Elvis Presley was on, you know, a few people like that. So there wasn't a whole lot of room for me to sing.
What was it like during the last week of The Tonight Show? What was going on behind the scenes during that last final 4 days that you were doing live programs?
Well, of course, you know, we had to make the same preparations we'd always made to get on the air and physically do the show, but there was an emotional feeling that accompanied that is nearly beyond description, because it was more than a show going off. It was a part of Americana going off after 30 years, and of course, you know, all of us being there, we felt it very acutely, and it's really I don't know. It's, you know, I used to stand there at nights and think, well, you know, someday this has got to end, and I wonder how it's going to be. And I had it in my mind, oh, Johnny will just call up NBC one day and say, you know what, the traffic was kind of heavy driving to work today, so I'm through. Goodbye. And
Was that your ultimate fear?
And I pictured, you know, like how other ways it could end, and nothing that I thought of matched up.
On the last show, Johnny said television was losing one of the best swing bands ever. You know, and it was obvious that he loved that band. Did you ever have, or did he ever have any influence as to what the band played on the show?
Oh, yeah.
He did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how much?
All he wanted.
Really?
One time I had a piece. It had a kind of a rock and roll beat to it, and it was just an original thing that some guy wrote, and the band sounded good, and we, you know, when everything else played, we'd always play that damn thing. And one day Johnny sent over a note, and he somehow had found out the name of it, which I've forgotten at this point, and he said, don't ever play such and such again, ever.
Don't call us, we'll call you, huh?
The next day, I had a burning of the arrangement, took it out of the parking lot and burned it.
Ooh.
By his parking space. There, is that good enough for you?
There you go. I like that one. During the opening of the show, you always gave Johnny a spiral salute, and you did one last night. How did that come about?
Gosh, I don't know.
Because it's unique to you. I've never seen any other musician do that.
It's just those things that happen on the show, and who knows how they ever started.
But it stayed as a trademark, that's for sure, and part of the institution. And when Ed couldn't do the Alpo commercials, and they asked you to do them, I always thought you did a great job. But how'd you like to do them?
I liked it fine.
Did you really?
I always enjoyed all of the, you know, filling in for Ed as announcer and all that, because it was something that I don't regularly do, and it made it a little more interesting that day. But, you know, speaking of the Alpo commercials, I had a dog named Arlo who had been a moved dog. he was a trained dog, and great big critter too. And so I was doing a lot of Alpo commercials, and I finally said, hey, listen, Ed gets to bring in a dog of his and everybody's bringing in dogs. Now, I've got a trained movie dog. I want Arlo to do a commercial with me. And they said, well, we just have, purebred dogs, because people can recognize what they are. I said, well, that's not right. I said, just a regular old crossbreed has got as much rights as anybody. And they said, well, okay. And I'd gotten the dog from the guy who supplied all the animals for the Alpo commercials. And this one day, I bring in Arlo, and I talk all about how much Arlo loved Alpo and all of that. And I put the dish down, and before Arlo could get at it, I reached over and petted him and put my hand on him, and Arlo wouldn't eat. He would not eat the Alpo.
I was wondering about that.
I said, well, Arlo ordinarily loves this stuff. I said, we stopped at a McDonald's on the way, and he's kind of full right now. And then we're getting to the end of the commercial. We finished, the camera's off. I take my hand off of Arlo, and he pounces on that thing. He just went after that Alpo like mad. And the guy who had trained the dog ran up and said, Jesus, I forgot to tell you, if you put your hand on Arlo's head, he won't eat. That was the end of Arlo doing the Alpo commercials, and me too.
Best laid plans of mice and men.
There you go.
In the 25 years leading the Tonight Show band, you played alongside several thousand different musicians and performers. What's your most cherished memory out of all of that?
Oh, I don't know. It's impossible to say, really. If you mention one name, you'd be excluding legends. So, it was just an ongoing enjoyment. We'd have Joe Williams on, and he'd bring arrangements, and then we'd wind up just faking one band. And to get a 16-piece band to fake a tune really good, better than what you can buy arrangements, is pretty unusual. And that would be an excitement. You get people on like, say, an Ella Fitzgerald and a famous opera singer like Placido Domingo, and all these things. It's just impossible to say. We had guys who are no longer with us, like Louis Armstrong, Benny Goodman, and we had Miles Davis on. He came on and played the whole thing with his back to the camera.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And a lot of wonderful rock and roll people, too,
Well, it was great during the anniversary shows and during the last actual program where Johnny was able to do that, all those bits that he had with all the performers, or at least as many as they could fit into one tape. Just those little bit pieces of all the musical talent that had passed through the Tonight Show in 30-some-odd years.
Well, I tell you, it was quite a procession.
Also, this is kind of to wind things down a little bit. Is the Tonight Show ever going to be done in a syndicated rerun type format like they do all kinds of other shows?
Very possible. Johnny owns the rights to that, and of course, I think he had an agreement with NBC that he wouldn't release any of those for a certain amount of time after he left the show.
Mm-hmm.
But they could be put into reruns, and I don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen.
Well, he has a video cassette package out now.
Yes, well, that's another thing.
Right, and obviously that's a separate thing, but it would be great if either the commercial networks or one of the cable stations would pick it up.
It could happen.
Doc, where are you going to be tonight at 8 o'clock?
Tonight at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be on the stage at the Performing Arts Center with one of the country's finest orchestras, the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra.
Aren't they great? Conductor's name?
David Mars.
David Mars. He was just fantastic. You had mentioned on stage last night that he also has a connection with the San Antonio Symphony.
That is right.
Mm.
And, David started off many years ago. He was a member of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. He played French horn. And he has an exceptional understanding of orchestral playing and what it feels like to be in the orchestra, and it makes his conducting a little extra special for me. And I enjoy working with him.
You know, we play music for a living here at WIST, and obviously there's just no comparison. Radio is great, and it's our first love, but when we go to see a live concert, a live band, and an orchestra that was there last night, there's no comparison.
Well, you know, there's something more than the sound. It's like an ozone or something floats around it when it's bright that makes it all happen. And you're absolutely correct. Sometimes some guy can hit a shot on the bass drum and you can actually feel the vibrations against your body.
Isn't that great?
It's sort of that magic that comes across. We certainly saw it last night with you and with the orchestra. You get people together who love to play and enjoy what they're doing, and people who love to listen, and it's just a magic combination.
Do you know if there's...
And that hall, let me tell you, boy, Charlotte is so fortunate to have that place.
Isn't that something?
It is. You know, it's a beautiful-looking hall, and that's the easy part.
Sure.
Great sound.
Do you know if there's any additional tickets left for tonight's performance?
Don't know. That's not part of my job. You have to stay around and sweep up after.
Hey, listen, Doctor, I know you're busy. We really thank you for taking time out this morning to be on our program and be on the airways of WIST again today.
My pleasure.
And we sure hope you...
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you, too.
And we sure hope you'll come back and see us again in Charlotte real soon.
Well, you know what? I'm ready anytime.
Great.
Sounds good to us. Take care, Doctor. Thanks for talking with us.
Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Doc Severenson, tonight at the Performing Arts Center at the downtown Charlotte. Actually, uptown Charlotte. Yes. We have to be politically correct. Let's do it right now.
Uptown Charlotte.
Uptown Charlotte, and that's right. And 8 o'clock tonight with the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra. And, hey, they're there tonight.
Well, anyone who has tickets tonight certainly is going to have a treat. I mean, we had a wonderful time last night, as you can hear from just the things that Doc said. He is just full of all kinds of things. Besides being a very talented man, his stage presence is terrific.
And the best thing to do if you want to check for tickets, we are unsure if there are any tickets left at this point for tonight's performance at 8 o'clock. Call the Performing Center or the Performing Arts Center box office,
right.
Okay, and check that out. Unfortunately, we just don't have that information, and like Doctor says, that's not my job.
I liked his comment about having to sweep up afterwards.
That's right. The Station of the Stars, Bob and Mary here on a Saturday morning. By golly, the time has gotten away. It's 10:25, 65 degrees in Uptown Charlotte. Hope you're enjoying our program this morning.